Good morning YouTube, I'm Warren from Timbers Flooring. What another lovely day we have, and today I'm working in Rattlesden and we have an engineered floor. Do you guys have an engineered floor which is a bit worn, a bit worse for wear, a bit of colour shading, difference going on? So I'm going to sand this back to its natural sanded look, and that's what they want. I'm having a bit of a flurry with this at the moment. Customers want an ultra matte look, and once it's sanded they want to keep that sanded look. So again, I'm going to use this Morel's Natro, and hopefully the customer will be happy with it, but we'll see as we go. I'm going to do a sample patch for them just to make sure that is the thing that they want, because they might decide they want it even whiter, I don't know, because of their decor. You have a look at things like this door is very white, very bleached, so they might want to match in with that. So anyway, I'm going to get sanding, do a time lapse on this. Going to try and start with a 60 grit on an engineered floor, because you don't want to sand too harshly with an engineered floor because they've only got a tiny thickness of real wood to play with. So I'm going to get going with this, and I'll see you when I finish the 60s. Just starting on the edges now. I've done a 60 grit full sand over the middle. It's come up really well. Now doing a 60 grit on the edges. I've just got all this out. Still got the tiny corner bits to get, so I'll get all these out with my file sander later. But yeah, now I've just started the 60 grit on the edges. You don't have to use a 60 grit. You could use 100 if it comes off with 100. Then use 100 grit or 120 grit. This was a little bit harder, so I've done it with a 60 grit. I'll probably whiz over again with my orbital all around the edges just to smooth it off a little bit. But yeah, so I'm now going to get all this out with my edger. Okay, my flip edger, Lacquer flip edger, and yeah, we'll do that, and then we'll then do 100 grit with the main sand, and like I just said, I'll then go around the edges again with my orbital sander, just with 120 grit, just to smooth that off a little bit. Good hoover up, and then I've got to do the corners, good hoover up, and then the lacquer. So shouldn't be too long. This is a really nice job, this. So if you've got an engineered floor, it will be similar to this. So you might have had a bit more wear in it, it might have gone a bit blacker, so you might want to use a 40 grit to start with, but I don't recommend going any harsher than a 40 grit, and if you are using a 40 grit, don't sand too hard with it. Like, don't go over the same area too many times on an engineered floor, because you'll go through 3 to 6 mil wear layer that you have with them, you'll go through it very quickly, and then you'll have to replace the whole floor. So if you could start on a finer grit like a 60, or even if you can get it all off with a 100 grit, then that's good. Okay, so but yeah, I've had to do a 60, but I've done it as light as possible, and then I'll just go over again with a 100 very lightly, and it's coming off really well. So yeah, I'll put this on time lapse to do the edges, and then I'll be back with you in a minute. That's all the edges done, and I've done the corners as well. The 60, as I said, is done. I'm just going to go around the edges again with my orbital sander with 100 grit on. I'll get that done just to smooth off the edges a little bit, and then I'll go over the middle again with 120 grit, and then we're done and ready for lacquer. So all the sanding is now done. It's gone really well, lovely floor this. I've just done a sample patch for the customer, make sure they are happy with this finish. So it's just drying at the moment. I've just got the blower on it. So this is the Morel's Natro finish. It goes on quite dark, but then you can see it drying about here already, where it goes a lot lighter again. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the customer thinks of this. If they don't like it, then we'll probably go to something like an Osmo raw matte finish, which is a Hardwax oil. So we'll probably try that if a customer doesn't like this. But yeah, so I'm going to wait 15-20 minutes for this to flash off, dry off, and if she likes it, I'll then sand off this sample patch and then lacquer the whole floor up. And then, yeah, I'll probably try and get 2 coats. I'll try and get 3 coats on today, but 2 coats probably with the drying times by the time it gets to about 5. So yeah, we'll see what the customer says. I'll come back to you in a minute. the issue was Morel's Natro highlighted the original finish in the groove of the floor, so where the two boards butt up to each other, and there's a tiny little V groove, and obviously that stays sort of orangey with the old finish on. So she didn't like that. She liked the general colour of it, but not that in general. So what I'm going to do is try this Osmo raw matte poly-X oil instead. So I'm going to go to Bury St Edmunds now, go and pick some up, and come back and put a tester patch on the floor, and then see if she likes that. So this is not a problem. This is a normal thing that happens. It's just making sure the customer's happy with the finish you put on the floor. That's the main thing. So I'm glad I didn't just whack all the lacquer on the floor. Otherwise I'd sand it all off. So I'm quite pleased I didn't go ahead and just do it. So yeah. So it's put me back a little bit, but it doesn't matter as long as I get it right for them. It's all good. So I'll come back to you in a bit when I've got the other samples on the floor. See you later. You going to help me finish this floor? Hey? You got to make sure you don't walk on it once I do it though, alright? Yeah, not allowed to walk on it. Good girl. She's a darling. Good girl. So we're back. The customer has chosen the Osmo raw matte Hardwax oil. So I'm now going to put that on this floor for them. I've just sanded the samples off, which was silly of me. I should have shown you the sample package, but never mind, I've done it now. But yeah, Osmo raw matte, all in there. We're going to put it on nice and thin so we get a nice even layer. Got my blower going, got the windows, doors open, so it should dry fairly quickly. When I mean fairly quickly, 2-3 hours. So I'll go away and then I'll come back again. And then it will need a light sand because it will come up rough. So we'll light sand that with 120 grit mesh screen, which is a very easy going sand if you like. Good hoover up, and then another coat of the Osmo raw matte finish. So I'm using a paint pad to apply this. I find that's the best way. I've done a few floors with this product and the brush just is a bit hard work, so it goes on a lot more even with the this paint pad that I'm using. So that's what I'm using. I'm just going to paint pad the whole floor. Not the easiest to apply this stuff, so I'm now going to do a time lapse, so you can watch us do that, and I'll speak to you in a bit. So this is the first coat of the Osmo Raw Matte Finish. It has come up well. It's just the first coat as well, so I don't know, this is quite rough. So this needs sanding down very lightly with the buffing machine, just there. With 120 mesh grit, so it just goes over the surface of the wood nice and softly and gets this smooth. And then a good hoover up, and then another coat of the Osmo Raw Matte Finish. That should look really good. So the floor is lovely and smooth now. I've just done a 120 grit mesh screen over the whole floor. By the way, if you wanted to light sand the floor yourself but you haven't got a buffer like myself, you can do it. 120 grit disc on your hands and knees and just rub over the floor, literally just very lightly, just getting rid of the hairs on the wood until it feels smooth, not soft, smooth. It's very easy to do. Don't push hard. You're just literally trying to get rid of the tiny little hairs in the wood. So yeah, 120 grit bit of sandpaper, lightly rub over the floor with the grain. Make sure it's with the grain, not against the grain. Yeah, you can do that yourself. And once you've done that, good hoover up, and then you're ready for your final coat. Okay, so that's what I'm about to do now, put on the second coat of the Osmo Raw Matte Finish. Alright, I'll see you in a bit. So another jobbed. That's the second coat of Osmo Raw Matte Hardwax oil put onto the floor, and it's come up really well. Very happy with how it's come up. So yeah, the idea of this one is to get the floor looking like it's been freshly sanded, and that is the final finish. So yeah, really happy with how it's come up. But yeah, if you like what I've done, like, comment below, share if you want to share it, and subscribe if you can. And I'll see you for the next one. Many thanks, guys. See you again.